Now we're going to use our Pepita Pulp from making Pepita milk, and we're going to make a pie crust. Super easy. We're basically going to start with 1 cup of Pepita Pulp. First thing we're going to do is take our whisk and kind of break it up. Next, we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of tapioca flour into the bowl. And then we're going to further break it up. The tapioca flour will allow the Pepita Pulp to just kind of break up and be a little bit crumbly. It's really important to mix this really well. If you get clumps of unmixed Pepita Pulp in your dough, then it's not going to bake properly. So you basically want to make sure everything is mixed super well. To the bowl, we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda, and then 1/4 teaspoon of thyme leaves. This is optional. I also like it ground, so it distributes the flavor more. So this is a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and a tablespoon of coconut oil. You want to melt the coconut oil first. Essentially, you're just going to add this to the dough. Extra virgin olive oil mixed with coconut oil makes whatever you're baking taste really buttery. So when we make Pepita crackers or pie crust or biscuits, I really love this blend. We're going to add our oil to here. At this point, you can switch to a spatula. I'm going to use the whisk just to make sure it gets fully incorporated, and then just kind of hit it on the side of the bowl. Now we're just mixing this up. The dough is basically ready now. So I'm going to show you my secret. Now, this is where we get a little controversial. We have a plastic zip top bag. This is the easiest way to roll out your pie crust. I have one of these saved, and you can reuse it over and over. You don't have to do a new one every time. I'm just going to show you how to do it the first time. If you're absolutely against using plastic, you can use parchment paper, which is what I usually do if I don't have a ready-made bag. So basically what you're going to want to do is you take the side of the bag, you open it, take a knife, and you're going to split it down the side. You really want to try to get the crease so that it's even on both sides. It wasn't the best job, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Then do the other side. So now we've got our bag split. Set the bag down, take the dough. And this dough doesn't have a lot of moisture, so it is a little bit crumbly. You can add a little bit of Pepita cream or aquafaba or water if you want the dough to stick together a little bit better. For pie crust, I think it's perfect because it's flaky and buttery, and yeah, it just gets kind of crispy. Preheat your oven to 350. I already had it preheated because I melted the coconut oil in there, so it's almost preheated, but you essentially just want to make sure your oven is preheated before you put the pie crust in. And you're basically just going to want to smash it down a little bit. This is where the bag comes in handy. Since it's plastic, it doesn't really stick to the pie crust too much. Then you're just going to want to press it down. This is working really well. This is where the plastic really makes it more convenient. Well, the first place actually, but and then yeah, you want to make sure it doesn't come out of the bag and onto the counter like it just did. Back. Okay, we're going to take our pie pan, put it over the pie crust, just place it down. Going to lift up one side and then stick our hand under there and basically just flip it in. This is another place where the plastic is more convenient and easier than the parchment paper. So you just want to smooth it out, make sure it's even. Then you peel either your plastic or parchment away from the crust. Boom, look at that. All right, now it's probably not going to be totally even in there, which is fine. You can basically just take the excess and just even it out a bit. We're going to take our crust and just kind of fold it in. And if it's uneven, just take a little bit out where there's too much and put it where there's not enough. It's going to even this out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. If you want to be lazy and, if you don't care what it looks like, or if you're making a crust with a top on it, it really doesn't matter if it looks pretty. But I basically like to crimp the edges and make it look nice. So if you're trying to make a really pretty looking pie, you're going to want to just like crimp the edges. And I just use my fingers. So like once you've got it all in there and fairly even, you want a little bit to come over the lip right here. So we're basically just evening it out. And it's a little thicker on one side than the other. That's okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. But so now that it's all in there and fairly even, you can take your fingers and just kind of crimp it and make like a little pattern. Just go all the way around. And what I do is I push the bottom of the crust up, or the side of the crust up, and then with my thumb and then with my two fingers make a little indent. So you can go all the way around. And now we've got our nicely crimped little pie crust. You're gonna bake this for about 20 to 25 minutes. If you're making something where you're not gonna bake the crust again, like you're making like a cream pie or something, or like the filling is raw, then you're gonna wanna bake it longer. This we're actually gonna use to make a quiche. So I'm just gonna par bake it, probably about 24 minutes. I usually do 21 to 24. So we're just going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 21 to 24 minutes. That'll par bake it, and then we're going to fill it and then bake it again. So if you're going to bake it again, make sure it doesn't get too brown. You just want a little bit of browning on it. So this is what the pie crust looks like when it's par baked. We're going to fill this with quiche filling and then put it back in the oven for another 30 minutes. So you don't want it too dark, but you do want a little bit of browning on it at this point. If you don't get enough browning and then you fill it and bake it, then you're likely to end up with uncooked dough on the bottom, or it just won't be super crispy and flaky and buttery. Now it's time for pie.